Alistair, Javier, nice to see you both here for the first time at the T100 on the start line together for the first time. How does it feel when you look across and you go, feels like old times?
I mean, it's great. I mean, this could be 2010 again. For different reasons, we didn't have the chance to race each other for quite some time. But it's great to be, back here, and there are many other great athletes out there as well. It's not just a race between him and I, but it's definitely great. Those years I have great memories of racing here for many years. So that rivalry was, I think, good for the sport. So it's great to have the opportunity to race again, against him and some other great athletes.
I don't really have anything else to add to that. I just that it has been a shame, I guess, that for various reasons that we haven't raced that much over long distance racing and in the last few years. So I think that makes it even more special that we're both sat here today.
Do you feel like you've been waiting for him to come and join this T100 party as well?
I can't say I feel like I have been waiting for him. I know in sport you're supposed to say, you always want to race and beat the best people, and that is true to an extent. But I guess there's lots of other people on the start line to worry about, and also, you've just got to focus on who's there on the day, I think.
Let's talk a bit about what you've both achieved in the past as well. Javier, 5 world titles, Alistair 2. I mean, your rivalry is so deep rooted, and it seems like there's so much mutual respect as well. How important has that rivalry been to pushing you on in your sport over the years?
Well, in my case, I think 2008 and 2009, I was kind of, winning lots of World Cups and dominating the World Triathlon. And some of these young kid turns up, and in 2009, I think he won 4 races, and I got second in 4 races, and I only could beat him at the Europeans, I think, that year. So that was, that it just made me work harder, and try to figure out how to improve my game to be competitive against him. So I would say that I think it was great for me personally, great for the sport. I probably would have won more races without him, but I think generally it was a good thing. At least in Spain, what I saw, really, like, people got really into triathlon and became a bigger thing that it was. And that rivalry had a lot of, was probably the reason why. So I think it was good for the sport.
I agree. Obviously, I was a few years behind Javier, and so I was kind of growing up through that era of 2005, 6, 7, where he was starting to win a lot of races, and he was kind of a bit of a hero. And then we started racing a bit. Maybe French Grand Prix were first. I can't really remember.
French Grand Prix, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I remember racing.
2007, 8.
Yeah, I remember that French Grand Prix. I just tried to hold on for as long as I could, and then actually ended up on the same team in France, which was really cool. And then racing in the World Series, and at the time in the World Series, you're racing quite a lot when you're racing, I guess 5 or 6 times in the World Series, and then another 4 times in French Grand Prix, and so it is a lot of racing, and it was really cool. And exactly as Javier said, it went, I think, also coinciding with me in the UK with the London Olympics, and in that era between 2008 and 2012, it went from honestly no one really knowing what triathlon was to I remember very consciously knowing in the months before London, everywhere I'd go, people had said, "Oh, how's it going? Are you looking forward to winning the Olympics?" And the third thing is, make sure you beat that Spanish fella. And they never actually had the right name. It might be like some Spanish sounding name, like how's that Gonzalez guy or something. Yeah. But it was amazing. Literally buying a pint of milk in a local shop, and someone's asking me about beating him, which was such a massive step for triathlon.
Yeah, I get the same question in Spain still now. He's still racing those brothers, those British brothers. Yeah.
How much better do you think you both are or were because of each other?
When you want to be the best in the world, you have to see who you have to beat. At that moment, Alistair was racing the bar, so he was, really complete athlete, strong swimmer, always top 3, top 4 out of the water, best cyclist and best runner probably. So if you want to be competitive and try to be world champion, you had to beat him. So it definitely made me better. It made me push harder on training and figure ways to improve, you know, especially in my run and my bike. And yeah, that's, for a few years it went like that, you know, just trying to make things better, to be better, you know. And that happened when I was already 25, 26, you know, so it was not that easy. It's not like when you're 18 or 19 that it's very easy to improve, but when I was already world champion, and I was like, okay, if I want to be world champion again, I have to be better. It's not enough what I've done in the past. You know.
Was Javier always the benchmark for you coming through?
Yeah, the benchmark for me coming through, he was kind of I guess the era before, probably just before you. There was a lot of guys. Well, firstly, it was a lot more kind of variable who was winning. Yeah. I guess if you go back to 2004, 2005, like you could throw 10 names into a hat and pull one of them out in a World Cup race, probably. And it always came down to a run and normally kind of a sprint finish. And then I think you moved it on a bit in terms of being the complete athlete, swim, bike, runner, and then in that era, kind of it continued that way, that we were diving in a swim and then racing all three disciplines basically. Yeah. And so yeah, that was the benchmark. That's the athlete I wanted to be, and yeah, I wanted to be the best in the world. I wanted to win the Olympic Games, and to do that, the main person to beat was him. So I had to make sure I could beat him.
I've spoken to quite a lot of the rest of the field, your competitors, and some of them maybe talk like, you know, you've already retired, like, oh yeah, the legends of the sport back in the day. I mean, when you hear that, how nice would it be for both of you to kind of take it to some of the young guns that are the next generation coming through?
Yeah, well, I guess Alistair raised them already a couple of times this year. For me, I haven't raised most of them, to be honest. It's great that they consider us legends, you know. They probably grew up watching us racing, and yeah, and it's probably their time now to shine. But for us, we don't, I think Alistair would say the same, we are not here just because of our names, you know, and as legends or whatever you want to call us. We still think that we have something to say in the race, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, for me, yeah, if you asked me as a 20-year-old, will you still be competing in your mid-30s? I'd be like, nah, no way. I just want to race as well as I can and then retire and do something completely different. In fact, my original plan was to only do the London Olympics and then retire and go back to studying. So, and
11 years,
yeah,
12 years.
12 years later, I'm still sat here.
12, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm here because I enjoy the training, I enjoy pushing myself, and I enjoy being competitive. I'm definitely not here just because I can turn up, and it's far too hard a sport to do for any other reason apart from you're internally driven to do well. Yeah, just turning up, training hard, turning up, jumping in that freezing cold water at 6 a.m. to get battered and lose a race. Yeah, no one's going to do that just for the sake of it.
Yeah. It sounds mad.
Yeah.
Alistair, you've got a rookie. I can't believe I'm saying that Javier's a rookie here in the T100 this year. You've had 2 starts next to your name. What advice are you going to give to this rookie on how to approach a T100?
Yeah, I'm very reticent to give advice to anyone, especially Javier, but and yeah, you were actually winning long distance races before I even started doing anything, so in 70.3 World Championships and stuff. But yeah, the easy thing to say is pace it. Everyone goes out too hard, and I know I can say that and then I won't listen to my own advice, but yeah, the bike, people ride hard in the first half.
I think we've been doing that for the last 25 years, you know. Especially the main race. I think the women are a bit smarter when they pace themselves, but for us, we always start way too hard. But yeah.
The plan just goes out the window, doesn't it? Javier, maybe you can give some advice to Alistair on how to approach this race. He's never raced here. You've raced and won here. What does he need to know?
This race, well, I think unfortunately for all of us, I think it's a good course for him because it's quite hilly and it's going to be cool out there. It's not like the last 2 races, so I think that's going to be good for him. And yeah, we're going to say, yeah, I guess pacing is a good advice, pacing properly. But yeah, I think it's a good course for the type of athlete he is, and hopefully for me as well. You know, I prefer this type of courses much better than a flat course.
I also want to ask a little bit about the fact that age is definitely a factor in both of you at the moment. I guess managing injury and your bodies, both been well documented of, how you've got to cope at the moment. How do you, and how much has training changed for both of you compared to, like, for example, the Olympic Games in London 12 years ago?
Yeah, it's completely different, to be honest. It's a new challenge, and I guess when you're in your mid-20s, the challenge is how much training can I possibly get in a week effectively, and now it's what can I do, how much can I do to not risk injury, and that's a very different mindset. And we had a little chat earlier. I think we both kind of know that, like, physiologically, like, our engines are actually as good as almost ever, but to be able to kind of do the load and injury-wise is definitely tough and changes on an older body. So that's a challenge. It's frustrating at times, and there's many days I wish I could still train like I could 10 years ago, but I can't, and I'm still here and still kind of coping with that new challenge in the best way that I can.
Yeah, I think you can still get that to that level, get really fit, but it just takes longer as well. You have to be more progressively and look after your body much more than in the past. But for me, I had a few injuries lately. Well, maybe the last couple of years have actually been better than a few years before. So I'm enjoying sport again because I'm training pain-free, which is quite a good thing. Because I've been struggling with different niggles and problems for many years, and I managed to keep going, keep training. But it's not fun, when you have pain in training, it's not. You don't enjoy that. But so now I'm enjoying it a bit more, and I feel that I've been training well. But as you said, I know that I'm not getting any younger, but I still love what I do, And to be honest, if I'm in the mix with the best guys, and on Saturday that would be great. If not, I'll be happy to if I have a good race. I feel that I've done what I had to do in my career, but at the same time, I still feel that I can be competitive. That's why I'm here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think I was going to be able to compete with these guys.
This is a question just for you, because Alistair's taken part in 2 of the races already. Who have you been impressed by, and who's surprised you so far?
I guess for me, watching this race on TV, Yuri Keolin I was quite impressed with him in both races, Miami, but especially Singapore. He had a really great race, and also Sam Long, being able to, fight for the win of these races, losing in 3 or 4 minutes out of the water. That's pretty amazing, riding on your own and knowing that you can still make it to the front and then delivering a really good run. Was quite impressive.
I'm going to ask you who's the biggest shock as well.
I think the biggest shock for me is Yuri Kulin. Also, I was in that race in Singapore when he rode up the road from most of us, and that was very impressive.
We have 8 races on this circuit. You've constantly got to peak compared to just a single race. How different is that, and how much have you had to change kind of your preparation to constantly get ready for different, I know the different time zones, etc., but how does it differ from just targeting like Olympic Games, for example?
I think triathlon, the Olympic Games is different. That's a one-off every 4 years, but outside the Olympic Games, both of us over the years will have raced a lot. The World Triathlon Series was always based over a load of races through the year. On top of that, there would be races like a European Championships and French Grand Prix. So racing quite regularly is probably normal to us. Doing it over the longer distance is different, though. I don't think anyone quite has ever tried to race at the top of the game over 6 times in a year or something. So that's definitely unique.
Javier, after picking up your first win only in Spain, was it last week? How much has that motivated and given you confidence stepping on the start line this week?
Yeah, well, I wanted to do a race before, racing these guys, because I know it was going to be a shock for the system. So, and I wanted to do a race with not much pressure and just where I can focus on myself and my performance. And I'm happy with that. I felt good. I have a pretty good ride and a pretty good run on a tough course. So, and I think I recovered well after that one. So, that was obviously a positive thing, and motivates me and say, okay, things are going well. I think I'm fit to race these guys.
Obviously, as contracted athletes as well, we know you've got to do a certain amount of races. The fact that you've missed 2 now, do you feel like you're at this disadvantage compared to Alistair, who's already got, should we say, 1 under your belt?
Yeah,
Points-wise.
I've got 2 NAF races under my belt, so he hasn't had to travel to them.
Yeah, I mean, my plan was to do the first 2, for different reasons I couldn't. So, and actually I wasn't going to do this one, but now I have to, and it's probably a good idea actually, because this course is probably better for me than the last couple of races. So yeah, things are, it is what it is. You have to be ready to change your plan sometimes if different things happen, and yeah, you just have to take the right decisions.
I'm going to take your words. NAF first 2. At least it's not hot. That's going to suit you, right?
At least it's not hot, yeah, that's definitely an advantage for me.
Tell us how the ankle is, how you're feeling kind of physically.
Yeah, my ankle's good. I don't know, just really unlucky, or the course or whatever, just to have a really funny flare up in Singapore, but it calmed down quickly afterwards, and I just had to have 10 days, 2 weeks kind of not running very much, and I built it up from there, and at the moment everything feels healthy.
And finally, predictions for the race on the weekend, both of you. You can put yourself in there, of course you can.
I think it's very difficult to see past Martin van Riel winning, to be honest. And then behind then, I don't know, I'd love to sneak on the podium, but we'll see. And I think one of the things about these T100 races is they're very hard to predict, so who knows? Yeah,
it's definitely harder. For me, it's even harder because I haven't raced these guys, but yeah, I think Martin van Riel is going to be the one to beat, and yeah, he's been doing great in short distance in the last couple of races, the World Series, and I think this distance is even better for him than short distance. So yeah, unless he makes some mistake, he should win the race. But that's going to be an interesting group for the second place probably.
You putting yourself on the podium?
Of course. I mean, every time I go into a race, I try to win it. Sometimes happens, sometimes it doesn't. But you have to have your race plan to have a good one, and yeah, of course.
Well, I think it'd be great to see you both lining up next to each other on the start line on Saturday. It's the first time, obviously, for the T100, and it's been a while. So good luck, both of you.
Great,
thank you. Thank you.